Dun 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 dun. Welcome once again to the Law of One. I am Robert, your humble narrator and host. Today I bring you brand new channeling from LL Research, October 19th, 2021. Thank you, y'all of LL. You are beautiful. I love you. Thank you. Okay, let's jump right into it. Let's see what they have to say. Today's topics: attention, will, and faith. Attitudes of avoidance, physical ailments impairing one's spiritual practice, feeling empty and unfulfilled. Wow, that sounds kind of like a downer. Let's bring it up a notch.
I am QO and am aware of your query, my brother. We would begin with our usual request that you look at what we have to say with your own clear vision and utilize the words and concepts that have meaning to you and disregard the rest. If you will grant us this simple favor, we will feel more free to speak those thoughts which are ours to speak. In the process of realizing one's own personal desire to seek the Creator in the most efficacious manner possible, it is well to take into account the many distractions that each seeker of truth encounters in the daily round of activities, and in the experience of your third density illusion. For beyond the veil of forgetting, there is not this type of distraction that causes one to lose the focus upon the basic nature of all creation, including the self that is unity with the one Creator. Thus, you are facing what we would call a challenge within your third density illusion as you seek to find that will within yourself to know the Creator, to be able to feel the Creator moving in your meditative state into a manner of communication that you may perceive in a variety of ways, whether it be words, images, inclinations, thoughts of joy, and inspiration. Such communications with the One are unique to each. The will to find this focus, this single-pointed focus, is also enhanced in its functioning by an equal amount of faith that such a process can indeed put one into a state of consciousness that is likened to the facet of the Creator's gem or jewel, so that you begin to radiate the love and light of the one Creator to all those about you, whether in the meditative state or in the conscious state. For you are awakening within yourself the capacity to encompass a larger and larger portion of the totality of unity that is the Creator. As you were able to focus your attention inwardly in meditation with a desire to become one with the Creator. This type of blending of will and faith is a kind of empowering of the conscious mind to begin to travel the journey down through the lower levels of consciousness into the subconscious mind, and further on into the planetary mind and the cosmic mind of the one Creator. This is a very deep and fulfilling dive into unity with all that is. As you focus your attention on this journey of seeking and serving the one Creator, you yourself begin to expand in what you would see and feel as an outward nature, so that you touch upon more and more of the creation around you, and not just touch upon it, but you become it. As you find this focus becoming more intense as time passes, you will be able to uncover the gems of your own self that you will see and experience as expanding into the infinite reaches of the one creation. This is a natural process that is experienced by all entities that are in the, as you would say, inner planes or higher densities in both cases, so that they are in this state of consciousness at all times, to some degree. You having the veil of forgetting to move through in a more or less clear fashion are challenged by that same veil, so that your effort of focusing your attention on seeking the one Creator in all things carries a great deal of weight. Of, you may call it, success or union or victory over unconsciousness. This ability to finally focus your attention becomes your great tool of inspiration and evolution, as you are more and more able to reach that focus in meditation, and then carry with you the bounty of the open heart that you have reached in meditation with you when you come out of meditation. This allows you to see with a clarified vision that you inhabit an illusion with different portions of the one Creator who are also seeking to know more firmly and fully how they also are the same as you. Your other self, the one Creator. This is the journey of the third density illusion, and this is the great joy that awaits you as you continue to improve your focus in a single pointed fashion and become able to resonate in harmony with the Creator in all things, in all people, in all times, because you have done that within yourself. At this time we shall transfer this contact. We are those of QO. Thank you for vibrating this question, and we thank the one known for its asking, as this is a question that many upon the spiritual path would do well to consider. Consider that one recognizes patterns of avoidance is reflective of such an entity's experience that may speak of ways in which they feel off kilter or out of harmony with the experiences and circumstances and relationships of their life. There is perhaps a sense that to not avoid would be to meet the moment and myself more squarely with greater trust and openness. To then digest and metabolize that which is occurring, and to live life more fully from a position that is not seeking to run away from that which may be perceived as uncomfortable, or to find security in the routine, or there is perhaps a sense within the seeker that there may be greater riches to be had, shall we say, by openly facing and countering that which the moment brings. And for such a self wanting to heal that avoidance pattern, it is well to sit with the self and attempt to replay those moments that live on in memory. The closer to the actual experience, the better. To discover what it was that triggered this avoidance mechanism. What caused the self to put on its armor or to simply choose another path? What was it that was uncomfortable, or which the self wished not to face or to know? Was it a vulnerability? Was there a perceived threat? Was there an attachment which one wished not to relinquish? Many are the reasons unique to each seeker. This practice, to bring in other elements of the questioner's question, requires consistent use of the will and the faith that this exercise will bear fruit. For the process of knowing the self is not one undertaken in a single exercise, self-analysis, or visualization, but it is the setting and the execution of intention that must be carried out over time. The more consistent and true and unwavering the focus, the more efficacious the process, the more likely to find that which the seeker seeks, and the ongoing unfoldment of sitting with the self and understanding the mechanisms which contributed to this pattern. The self begins to reveal itself to itself. There are strands of biography woven into these patterns that connect to perhaps the relationship between the child and the parent in the early years, when avoidance was exercised for reasons perhaps of protection or a desire to avoid that which is painful. Perhaps the roots go deeper, but they do process at this moment, particularly, as the questioner noted, a history of such patterns. But the gaze and the process of knowing the self is not one which should look through the lens of self-judgment or castration, or the locating of deficiencies within the self which would pan out any sense of unworthiness. Instead, compassion is requested for the self, As the self discovers the workings of its own mind and heart that may not be so visible to the conscious waking awareness, as it provides upon the various momentum set into motion long ago. For it is only upon stopping to gaze with a directed focus, the focus directed by the question one is asking oneself, that one can begin to see that which has not before been seen or appraised by the conscious mind. And this discovery must be brought into the heart, as we were indicating, of acceptance. And in terms of this particular pattern of avoidance, one can develop an awareness that which is being avoided need not be feared or run from, or turn from that which is being avoided. Ultimately, there is no harm or threat to the self, or any sort of loss which is not productive of growth. That there is something quite valuable awaiting the self when the layers of resistance and rejection and avoidance can be peeled back, so that the self may come into contact with the self. For to avoid is to choose to be partial, to choose not to embrace the entirety of the self. That circle which defines self has infinite layers moving ever outward and ever inward. And as the self incorporates more of the creation into itself, or discovers itself already in the creation, the more that circle of identity grows, expanding eventually to include all entities, all places, all circumstances, events, and energies, so that the self understands that the self is all things. The self is one. It takes repeated exercises of trust, first and foremost in the self, and then universe. That which is being avoided can be not only faced, but brought into the heart. That takes a level of trust that is made possible at first by faith, but gains ever greater traction through repeated experience that affirms to the self that it is indeed okay to move forward, to open that which is hurtful can, if processed through the heart, be loved and serve the entity's own growth, and helping the entity to peel back the illusionary notions and stories about the self. That this entity asks such a question indicates that a good deal of work in self-knowing has been undertaken. To simply identify a pattern is a step away from the purely unconscious, shall we say, sleeping entity, and onto the path of becoming aware of the self, and hearkening to that which calls the self into greater growth and self-realization. revelation. Continue, our brothers and sisters, listening to that voice and applying your practices. And with each step and the next, you will find more and more of your whole self awaiting you as you feel ready to set aside those attachments of illusionary identity that give you snug in their place. I am QO and am aware of the query. This instrument in particular is fully aware of how the physical vehicle can act as, you may call, a roadblock or hindrance to one's spiritual seeking. But we would covet that by saying that the roadblock, that hindrance, is only illusionary. It is, dare we say, self-created, and it is also a potential motivator for spiritual growth as well. We realize that conditions you experience in your physical vehicle can seem overwhelming, can feel overpowering, can leave the entity feeling drained, unfocused, without direction, even hopeless. We wish to humbly state that these situations, however great in magnitude they may seem, are fleeting just as every other experience in this incarnation is. We do not wish to devalue or minimize the experience of the questioner, for we, through this instrument, can see how the words we're saying can seem to diminish the suffering that one can experience via the physical vehicle. We will start by saying that one may view such trials and tribulations as potential medicinal opportunities for spiritual growth and the lesson of acceptance. Through this instrument, we can witness and experience a feeling flustered by wanting to do so much, wanting to be so much, wanting to learn so much, but feeling, as you would say, trapped in a shell that keeps in the entity's mind, then from moving forward. We dare to suggest that sitting with the frustration and that pain is an opportunity pregnant with the potential for developing acceptance. This acceptance we speak of is not a simple acceptance of acknowledging a sensation or emotional existence. Rather, the acceptance we speak of is one of unconditional love for the experience. We understand that pain and discomfort are not usually sensations that entities within your incarnation seek actively. However, it could be seen that these moments are also what you may call experiments. We refrain from using the word gift, for we know that may come off as insensitive. However, that pain, that discomfort can be accentuated, sat with, pottered over, meditated upon, and accepted. We realize we use the word, or rather phrase, meditated upon, when previously the questioner stated that meditation does not come easily in the current state. My dear seeker, we would suggest that meditation can take many forms. Of course, you know of the meditation of sitting in silence, allowing the divine to release itself of its chaotic incarnational environment and grasping for that connection to the unity that exists underneath all. However, there are other forms of meditation, of seeking connection with the unity, with the Creator, with love. For instance, prayer and intention setting are two intentional practices. Two practices wherein the seeker may sit with what they are feeling in their heart and soul and speak it into the universe, whether that be in the instance of prayer, perhaps expressing a desire or asking for guidance, or oppositely in the instance of intentional setting, the expression of what this instrument plants or seeds for themselves. We would also suggest a practice of any other form of relaxation that this questioner can find. Any practice that allows the entity to release itself from the finding of the physical vehicle can be a most beautiful and intensive and helpful exercise or experience. Perhaps we would say to this questioner that if they wish to continue their spiritual practice that they feel they only recently began, but are experiencing the obstruction that is the physical vehicle, that this entity's statement of desire to continue the spiritual journey is the intention setting, that they are already taking steps. We would caution the questioner lovingly to not be so hard on themselves, to practice patience for the self, for the body, or that which comes easily, and that which comes without much ease. Each moment is ripe with opportunity for every entity to be but a fraction of the Creator experiencing itself. And that experience is limitless in how it can be defined. One final thought that we would share with this questioner, and we state it very humbly again, knowing that it could be misconstrued as being insensitive to the questioner's experience, that this instrument personally believes entities who receive these tough physical experiences asked for and received them, for the Creator knew them to be strong enough, and it is only with time and love and full acceptance of the self that this instrument and the questioner may find and discover how truly strong they are. We thank the questioner for this question, and we will now take our leave of this instrument. We are those of QO.